Okay, I want to say a good afternoon to everyone joining us today. I'm going to leave it for a few minutes because when you start the webinar, the attendee list just goes up and up and up and up and up over a few minutes as everyone's connections work. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook as well. So we will be monitoring those media as well to determine exactly who's going to be able to ask questions and on the different fora. I can see people are already logged in now to YouTube. I will be checking Facebook now as well. And we do have around about 30 people now on the webinar directly on Zoom. We do have a lot more people signed up than that, so no doubt more people will join us as we go. How it's going to work, team, is I've got a very brief kind of rough presentation that I'm going to deliver, which is going to kind of give you an idea of the different options. And then we do have a number of universities that have joined us today, which is fantastic news. And everyone's really answered the call for you here. So I'll introduce people first. We've got Bethana from St. George's University in Grenada. Just say hi, Bethana. We've got Professor Svoboda from Charles University, Third Faculty of Medicine in Prague. We've got Veronica from Poznan University of Medical Sciences in Poland. We've got Paula and her team from Rijeka University in Croatia. We've got Dana. Dana's not on video at the moment, but Dana's from the Second Faculty of Medicine in Prague. And we've got my colleague, one of the Medical Doorway team, Richard, who's based out in Nigeria, because we have had a lot of inquiries from students originally from Nigeria who've been left in this situation. What we'll do is as people come in, we'll just get on with the presentation shortly. What I'm going to ask people to do is if any of you attendees or anyone who's watching on YouTube or Facebook have any questions at all, please type them in to the Q&A feature on Zoom or alternatively on YouTube or on Facebook. We will deal with the questions one by one when we get to the end. Now, I might be able to address many of the questions myself. If not, I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues in the different universities. And what I will do, someone's asked about panelists adding their institutions to the name tags, and there's a counsellor from Italy. Rather than ask them to do that now, don't worry. If there's any questions, we can revert to the particular universities. Is that okay, Jeanette, who's logged in for that? If anyone of the team wants to change the university names in their tags, that would be great. If not, then it's not a problem. We can just I'll point people to the right institution when we get to that part of the presentation. Now, as you can imagine, this has been an evolving situation. The presentation I've got is not one of those presentations which we've done hundreds of times and is therefore polished and things like that. It has been put together to just start this process off of giving students some accurate advice and guidance. The one thing I'm going to say in the presentation as we go through it, and this is for the attendees, we're doing everything we can to support you, okay? Medical Doorway are, and the universities that are in attendance today, and the universities that have been in contact with me who are not in attendance today are doing all they can and will do all they can to support you. But we need people to be realistic and to manage your expectations about what is actually possible. And that's one thing I need to take home today, because many of the opportunities that we have are going to be fantastic, but they may not completely align with your expectations or what other organizations have been promising you and asking for a fee for that kind of promise. Okay, so without any further ado, I am going to share this presentation. If any of my fellow participants have got anything to ask about the presentation or want to involve, they'll raise their hand, they'll let me know. They can pass a message to me on Zoom, and then we'll be able to actually get that involvement as we go through. And there are more attendees coming in all the time by the looks of it as well. And we've gone pretty active on YouTube now, to be honest, and on Facebook. So that's really, really good. Okay. All right, then. Julio, right, we'll deal with Julius. I've emailed you this morning. I can see your comment. I've emailed you this morning. Okay, your specific inquiry is quite unique, and we'll have to look at that individually. But let's just go through the presentation first, and then we'll be able to deal with all of these questions at the end. If everyone can leave questions right to the end, so we're not kind of trying to play catch up and we don't miss anyone, it just means that we can at least get some information first that might preempt some of the questions that you've got, and then we'll be in a position at the end of dealing with very specific questions. What I want to say to the attendees, who I know are all in a very difficult situation now, and we fully appreciate that, Each of you has an individual story. Each of you has an individual aspiration. We can't deal with each individual question in a forum like this. You are able to allocate a specific individual Zoom call with me, 15 minutes or half an hour, free of charge. You can book that in on the Medical Doorway website. It drops straight into my diary, so I can't say no to it. And we will be in a position then of dealing with your individual inquiry. But going back to what I said before, what we need is everyone to just listen to the information and also be realistic and manage your expectations about what is possible. For most of you, we are going to be able to find solutions for you. It might not be the solution you want, but it will be the solution that does enable you to go into medical school and continue or start your studies again. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share this presentation first. There we go. So everyone now should see my screen, and let me just do that. Let me just drag this down here so I can see everyone. Perfect, thank you. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to be monitoring the comments and questions as I go through the presentation. I do want to kind of just focus on the presentation directly, okay? Right, so since this situation has started, we are aware that there are many students in your position who've been out in Ukraine. I understand many of you have paid significant amount of funds to agencies, and for some reason, and I'm assuming because the support afterward this has happened has not been there, many of you have been coming to Medical Doorway asking for our advice as well. We are in a position now of being able to support you and continuing to offer free of charge guidance and support, etc. Okay, but what we need to make sure is we get things done in a way that's appropriate. So what we're going to talk about is a little bit about Medical Doorway, studying medicine in Europe, and then for many students, I am aware that one of the attractions that was sold to you was the fact that you could graduate quicker than if you had gone into, say, medical school in a standard 5 or 6 year pathway. And we need to really look at that, because we need to really pick apart what actually graduate entry medicine is and exactly what it isn't, because many of the descriptions that I've heard when you guys have been calling me or emailing me are not actually graduate entry. So we need to be very, very cautious about what that term means. That is a very loaded term. So I'm going to define that slightly. Then I'm going to look at what we are offering at Medical Doorway. We have put some things in place now to start supporting you. That's going to depend on what kind of paperwork you've got, those kinds of things, and what your profile, even before you've gone to medical school, actually is. But we are putting some basic things together to try and ease the process of applying to the universities and actually, making it even a bit cheaper for you to do that. Bearing in mind, we don't charge agency fees anyway, so it automatically is a lot lower cost than perhaps what you've been used to so far. So our job is going to be to listen to you, listen to your priorities, listen to your aspirations, and try to find that best fit for you. We are not going to be telling you as students what to do. We're going to be guiding you in this process. If anyone's telling you what you should or shouldn't do, especially if that organization is trying to get money from you, please, this is about your future and about placing you in the right university that's going to fit you both academically, financially, and also give you that pathway to work after you've graduated, whether that's be to work in the UK, work in Europe, work in the US, Canada, etc. And we will be with you right through the process, supporting you in your arrival enrollment, whether you go to Poland, Croatia, the Czech Republic, the Caribbean, wherever that may be. We will do the same for you that we do for the students that we support every year and have supported since we started working back in 2011. If this is going to be the right one of these institutions, going to be the right pathway for you, yes, we will coordinate all aspects of your application, and you will have to take entrance exams for some of the institutions. That's normal, and that can't be worked around, okay? However, we are putting things in place to make that process a little bit less onerous financially for you, okay? Final thing, we will arrange all the necessary paperwork. If the documents need legalizing, re-legalizing, etc., we've got our own in-house legal team. We can do that for you. We're directly registered with a foreign office in the UK. If your documents are British, we can arrange that. And we have our whole translation team ready to go who are court certified if we need to do that as well. And in the end of the day, we will be the people securing your enrollment documents and processing the entire application and visa for you as well, with our links to the various embassies that we've built up over the years. So there are opportunities, even in this situation that you're in now, there are opportunities still. You can get access to the career, get access to the program. You'll probably find that a number of the universities that we're talking about are going to have a broader recognition, perhaps, than what you've experienced so far. It will be a new experience. We're only going to be talking about programs that are in the European Union or in the Western Hemisphere, also NATO countries as well. So it will be different than what you've experienced in Ukraine. Financially, this is going to be the thing we're going to have to discuss, I think, a lot more depth. The fees and living costs are going to be much lower than, say, the UK, but as you will find out, they are going to be more expensive than what perhaps you've been used to in Ukraine. So we need to have an honest conversation about what's financially viable for you as well, and try to find the right fit on that. Even if that's not one of the institutions that is with us, joining us today on this webinar, okay? We need to break that down and figure out what's going to be possible, because other institutions are getting involved as well, even if they're not on today's webinar. It is going to be a different educational experience to what you've had in Ukraine, and that varies from one country to another. And the other thing I want to stress is, especially on many other countries that potentially you're going to go to continue or start your studies again, language credits are important. So if you're a student who's, say, in the 5th, 6th year and you're wanting to transfer into a much higher year, that is not going to be manageable unless you've got the language credits in the country that you would plan to go to. So I'll just mention the Czech Republic as an example, because many students have asked about the Czech Republic. You do need to have sufficient competence and have passed Czech language credits to then go on and study in the latter parts of programs in the Czech Republic. And this is often the one aspect which makes transfers largely impossible anyway, even outside of these extraordinary circumstances, okay? So that will differ from one institution to the next, but it is something that you do need to bear in mind, because if you're going to get the best opportunities out of the clinical education, you need to have enough linguistic ability to communicate with patients directly or even through translation as well, okay? Most of the programs we're going to talk about, I've just literally grabbed a curriculum example here. So this is more taken from my work within the Czech Republic. Most of the programs we are working with, not all, however. I know St. George's University is a bit different, as is Third Faculty of Medicine, okay? The curricula are generally traditional medical curricula. So in the cases that a transfer or a recognition of credits is going to be possible, it will need a good alignment of the curriculum that you've been studying so far against the curriculums that are offered at the various institutions that are going to be available. And that process is not something which can be done informally, and it's certainly not something which can be done quickly. There will be a procedure to go through to have this done, because any medical school needs to abide by the regulations of its own medical regulator, as well as the national laws which protect patients and protect students and allow academic credibility to flourish. So regardless of where you are in your program or where you've been in your program, we will need to assess your transcript in detail. I'm aware some of you don't have transcripts at the moment. I think some of you have told me that your transcripts are being withheld or whatever. That is definitely something we're going to have to talk about, because we're not going to be in a position of even considering transfer requests just on your word. We are going to need official documentation to evidence where you are in your studies and ultimately what you've studied and what your results have been, because even transfers from within a country are often regulated as well. You need to get certain credits at certain grades to allow credits to be transferable, and those rules cannot necessarily be kind of not considered. Okay. I do want to kind of briefly talk about what this concept of graduate entry versus graduate entry is and what it isn't, because this is something which has been a perennial issue even prior to this current situation. We have been approached by many students who say, I wanted graduate entry, but they're not quite certain what graduate entry actually is by definition, okay? That's why I put this together. It's rough and ready, and it's just to try and differentiate what people believe it is and what it actually is. So we have graduate entry programs in the UK. In the Caribbean, at Bethesda's University at St. George's, 4-year programs are the norm because they are the US pathway. We've even had this pathway at Poznan University of Medical Sciences in the past as well, where we've had a specifically designed 4-year or sometimes a specifically designed 5-year program, which is regulated as a particular program in its own right. That will consider various modules, even core modules that would traditionally be taught in the first or second year of a standard 6-year program. And it will have a defined tuition fee per year, okay? And when I say predefined acceptance criteria, usually it's quite rigidly laid down what those criteria are, whether it be the subject of your degree, the classification, or even the credits and the subject credits that you've taken in your original degree. What it certainly isn't, and this is the concern which has been coming across over the last week or so, is it appears that a number of students have gone into a program where they've skipped the first 2 years of a degree without any backfilling of those subjects at all. That certainly isn't graduate entry, and that can cause a problem when transferring. The reason for that is if you haven't studied human anatomy with cadaveric dissection in, say, the first year or second year of your program, because that was seen to have been skipped, you're not going to get credit recognition for that particular module. And if you've done a degree prior to going into this third year of a program, say in biochemistry, biomedical science, you certainly wouldn't have done some of those subjects. I know that because I've taught anatomy in a university in the past as well. All right. You can't get exemption from credits that you haven't studied. And that's going back, linking to what I've just talked about there. Okay. And it isn't where you suddenly get significantly higher fees up front to recognize credits. We've noticed some people have said, I paid £9,000 per year the first year, but then I pay £4,000 for years 4, 5, and 6 or something like that. That is not indicative of a graduate entry program. Where graduate entry programs are more expensive in the first year or second year or third year, it's because of the amount of credits that are actually taught in that particular year. This is definitely something which I think Bethesda does definitely happen at St. George's, where the fee varies depending on how many credits in the year. We do work with another 4-year program who couldn't be with us today, unfortunately, where the first year is actually an enhanced year where you study more subjects, i.e. those subjects that would usually be in year 1 and 2 of a program, and your tuition fee in that year is slightly higher to account for those extra credits you're taking in that particular year, okay? Finally, what can't be done is you can't transfer lower level credits to a higher level degree. So you can't have exemptions from a master's degree from a bachelor's degree. Even under ECTS, you can't exempt credits from that. So if the qualification is going to be a master's level qualification and you've got a bachelor's degree, we can't exempt credits in that particular way. That's not what a graduate entry program is. A graduate entry is not an exemption of credits. A graduate entry program is a predefined, specifically designed 4-year program. So when I get people emailing me saying, I'm in the 3rd year of this degree at this particular university, but they've only enrolled recently, they're not actually going to be in the 3rd year when we start looking at other institutions, because you can't get exempted for your credits in that way. That goes against quite a lot of rules. So what basically are we going to be able to do? We will be able to assess your transcripts, okay, to see if, and speak to our different university colleagues to see if they are able to recognize the studies that you've done so far. Some will be able to, some won't be able to. It will depend on national regulations, university regulations, and it also depends on what your actual transcript looks like. If you haven't got a transcript, unfortunately, this is not going to be something which is possible. No one is going to be able to work on your word. Transcripts need to be official. In many cases, they need to be legalized, and in other cases need to be translated as well to fit with national regulations. There might be some flexibility on the timelines to get that done, given the considerations, but we can't offer transfers without transcripts. We will register your applications. We can do it from today. We are doing it, okay? We do not charge an agency fee. I need to be quite clear on that. For many of you students, you've been sold an idea, charged a significant amount of money, which you didn't need to spend, okay? We will not do that because we're officially representing the universities and we are paid by them for the work that we do. For institutions that have entrance exams, and even if an institution is looking to accept you or even transfer you, there are procedures for admission that you will need to go through, and that often includes entrance exams, which you will still need to take. We are offering at a medical doorway level, where we run the exams in the UK, we're offering free entrance exams for students who have been left in this situation. So all you'll have to pay is a pretty minimal institutional application fee direct to the university. We will not be charging an exam fee. We're going to take the hit on that because you guys have already been significantly disadvantaged, and we think that's our little bit that we can do to help you out, okay? And the final thing is we are going to be offering you the truth. So sometimes if you have an individual consultation with me, it might come across that I'm not being sympathetic, okay? I'd rather be unsympathetic and help you get into medical school than I will be trying to be sympathetic and you to be no further along the line months later. You know, that is perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. You might not like the truth, but sometimes it's better to hear the words that you need to hear, not the words that you want to hear, because unfortunately I know a number of people have been told things that they want to hear and it comes along with a significant fee implication on that. That's not what we're going to do at Medical Doorway. We wouldn't do that even if you weren't in this situation. We're going to tell you the exact reality of where we are, where you are in your education, what's achievable, and where we can eventually go. And we won't just do that on a whim. We will collect evidence from you and from the universities to help make sure that we're finding the right fit for you. You've already been through enough trauma. We now need to get you into a medical school because ultimately you want to graduate as a doctor and work, say, in the UK if you're from Britain, or work in the US, etc. And depending on where you do want to work, we may direct which institutions we are looking at as the right pathway for you. So it is going to cost something. Usually there's a minimal application fee to the universities. Where we run the exams, we're offering an exemption from the Medical Doorway exam fee. So in effect, you get a free exam. And again, the other things once you're ready to enroll are the legal and translation fees. But I do have to tell you, unfortunately, if you have been in a position where you've paid a 4-figure sum to an agency to do this kind of work for you, you have overpaid by many multiples. These costs are pretty small when you start looking at them, to be honest, okay? So if any organization is saying, we can help you do this, and it comes with a significant fee attached to it, I think you've already lost enough money as it is. It doesn't need to cost that. It costs significantly less than what you're being quoted. We at Medical Doorway do it at cost price anyway. As I said, we are funded directly by the institution, so we don't profit from doing these kinds of activities, which ultimately are not that difficult to do in reality. If you do get accepted, we need to ensure that you are now, after the experiences you've had, are happy and settled in your new environment. We can arrange early visits for you. We will arrange your visas for you. We will arrange your accommodation, okay? And many of the universities have accommodation options for you as well, in addition to the private accommodation options that we have. And I said, we will be able to work through your visa very quickly, very effectively by the direct links that we've set up with the embassies here in the UK. And if it's not in the UK that you're applying for your visa, we can coordinate that with the embassy in the country which you're applying from as well. That was a very short presentation, granted. It had to be short because it was done at the last minute because things have been changing. We do have a number of comments. We do have a number of questions. What I wanted to do first is just get the reality of the situation over to everyone. So we are in a position of when, let me try and just end my screen share. There we go. Okay, so we are in a position where you actually know some of the reality of where we're at and what we're doing, and there's still work in progress, okay? Still a lot of work in progress to get you from where you are now to where you need to be. We do have over 100 people currently on the Zoom now. So I know a lot of people have seen that presentation and grateful for that. Thank you very much. I am going to quickly check the chat feature out as well. And I'm going to take a look at the questions. Okay. Samara, would you be able to look at the curriculum until we get our transcripts? That's not really going to tell us anything, to be honest, because the curriculum doesn't tell us what exactly you studied unless you studied everything on that curriculum. We will be requesting curricula anyway, once we've got your transcripts, to determine exactly what was taught in that particular module, okay? So be my guest. Do prepare the paperwork that you need to get together, but please bear in mind you will not get any answers at all until we have seen your actual transcript. UK clinical placements. Listen, hang on a second. There's lots of comments coming in, guys, so I will go through them. Someone's asked about UK clinical placements. This is actually a little bit of a red herring in many places, to be honest. Most organizations can't offer UK clinical placements because you have to be doing your clinical placements in a hospital aligned to the institution which you are actually studying at, and that does require the clinical staff to be trained appropriately in the curriculum of that institution. There are one or two institutions which can offer UK clinical placements, but to be honest, you're not going to find that in any great substance. Entrance exams, Imen, we'll talk about that specifically if we book an individual consultation with you. Dentistry as well, same procedure I've just talked about here, Sobeam. Okay, if you're looking at a dentistry program, there are dental programs that we can support with. It's the same procedure we talked about for medicine. Okay, again, there's no silver bullet in this here. If we haven't got paperwork, if you've missed modules, if you haven't got language credits, your opportunities for the transfer on a like for like are extremely limited. Okay, and that's the truth of the situation, and that's really the message I'm trying to get across to people today, because I honestly believe, and from what I've understood, people are being told so many different things. Okay, which bear very little correlation to reality. Now I'm going to go into the Q&A feature. Someone said here, medical students in the UK have been left to their own devices. We're in limbo. Thank you to Medical Doorway for this webinar. The other thing in regards to the costs involved, similar to tuition fees in Ukraine as funding degree saves. Yeah, one thing I did say, Saria, in that presentation, whoever's trying to ring me now, can they stop? Because I'm trying to focus on this. The costs are going to be higher in some other countries, so we need to look at what's manageable for you. That is going to be, I think, something we're going to have to discuss with you on an individual basis. Okay, so please do go ahead, book an individual consultation with Medical Doorway. My diary this week is pretty full. Next week's looking better, but we can definitely arrange something to have an individual consultation with you, Ciara. Just to give you an idea to the panelists here, some of these students have been paying $3,000, $4,000 a year for education in Ukraine. We know that's not achievable in Europe, but it might be that if there's something which is manageable, like a payment structure for students who are accepted, that's something we can talk to our university colleagues about at some point. Someone said, students who only have 3 months left till graduation, what's your advice? Is there an equivalent exchange in transferring? My answer to that, and I'm going to delegate that shortly, is if you've only got 3 months left, you're in a very, very unfortunate situation where effectively you're not going to be able to actually graduate from an institution with only 1 year or 1 semester. I want to open the floor up to any of the panelists. Of the universities that are representing today discussed any opportunities about how transfers, whether they are from a year 1, year 2 or higher, going to be actually manageable. Can I start off with Rijeka in Croatia? Because I know you emailed me first when I sent the request out. What's the procedure if we're going to attempt to get student recognition? Paula.
So hi everyone, greetings from the Faculty of Medicine Rijeka. Regarding the transfer opportunities here at our faculty, unfortunately, due to the regulations of our faculty board, transfers are not possible into the first and the last year of study. Of course, due to the fact that war is happening in Ukraine and this is an unpredicted situation, our Vice Dean will discuss other options for the students who would like to transfer to the first or to the last year of our study program. We have to adapt to the new situation and our regulations will be changed slightly.
Okay, thank you. Veronica, what's the situation at Poznan?
Okay, hello everyone. Basically, we have I believe more difficult situation than in Croatia, because generally our university does not allow transfers. Now, I suppose the policy may change a bit. I know that our university president declared that we will have some space for students from the Ukraine and Poland to medical programs. However, first of all, we still don't have any details on it. There's no actually regulations, so we're still waiting for the authorities to announce such regulations. But still, we expect that such transfers will not be designed for students who are other than Polish or Ukrainian nationality, unfortunately. Yeah. And we suppose that it might be for Polish studies in Polish only, not for English even.
Yeah, this is one thing I know which has happened in the Czech Republic as well, and Dana and Professor Svoboda can say that there are places allocated for Ukrainian students on the domestic program, but not for international students on the English program. For those of you that are early into your studies, say you're in year 3, in the end of the day, you've got to make a decision about what's important, getting to be a doctor as quick as possible, or actually graduating from a university that has a graduate employment track record in the United Kingdom. All of the universities here today have been working with international students for many, many years, and actually have graduates working across the National Health Service in Canada, the US, etc. And obviously they're all Western or Central European programs, members of the European Union, or in the case of St. George's, an island, a beautiful island in the Caribbean, that all actually have got, EU members, NATO members, as well as having a significant experience in helping British students study, graduate, and then come to work in Britain. Some of the questions are quite specific, okay? To the person who's asking if you've done step 1 CK and step 2 CK, that's not linked to these programs. That's a separate thing for the USMLE. So that's not really going to help you in terms of graduating from in a university. They're not involved. That's a separate thing altogether. So it's not really going to change the dynamic. Deadlines, listen, deadlines for those persons asking about deadlines vary from one place to the other. The reality of the situation is each institution has its own deadline. My advice is apply as early as possible, especially considering the numbers of applications we have received. We're currently bringing in another member of staff in addition to what we've got at the moment, because of the amount of actual applications that we're getting in at the moment. That's before this particular war in Ukraine, this barbaric war in Ukraine happened, because the amount of people trying to apply to medicine in the UK has rocketed over the last 2 years. And as a result, there's a huge amount of spillover of applicants looking to study elsewhere. So my advice is just apply now. But what I have to say to those people who are still asking questions about higher level transfers, and this is partly why I brought my esteemed and learned colleagues from different universities around, is because we have to be realistic about what's going to be achievable. Yes, for many of you, we will be able to help you place into a medical school. If you want a higher end transfer, that's highly unlikely to happen, if not impossible in many institutions, okay? But again, what's important? Getting into an institution which will enable you to graduate as a doctor and take your career forward, or giving up now when this has happened, okay? Someone asked about questions about entrance tests. Yes, Dee, there are programs that have entrance exams and some that don't have them. Again, book an individual consultation. We will be in a position of guiding you to the right fit of a university. But what I will say to people, and this is what I say to students anyway, don't not apply to an institution because it has an entrance exam, okay? All of my colleagues in universities that have entrance exam can tell you the same thing I will tell you. The entrance exam is the easiest exam you will take for the next 6 years of your life, okay? Every single medical school exam that you take after the entrance exam is harder. It might appear that when you get to year 3 and 4 that you're finding it easier. That's not because the exams are any easier, it's because you're more intelligent, and the brain is a muscle. The more you work it, the better it becomes, okay? If we should all invent those apps on the iPhones that do brain training. We'd make a fortune about them. So, if I only have my 4th and 5th first semester of my 5th year transcript, can I make an application for transfer? Listen, you can make an application for a transfer, but like I said, we have to actually be realistic about what you're going to achieve in that, okay? And yes, transcripts by email are exactly what I need, okay? Right. If I've had a student, this is exactly what I talked about in the presentation before, someone anonymous. I don't mind people being anonymous because I imagine there's quite a lot of concern here. Someone said, what about a student who joined a med course in year 3 instead of year 1? Are we expected to get transcripts from years 1 and 2? This is going back to what I said about what is graduate entry and what isn't graduate entry. Entering year 3 of a program, of a 6-year program, is not graduate entry. And the fact that you don't have the subjects, which are mandatory parts of years 1 and years 2, are going to mean that your transfer request will not be granted, because there is going to be a huge knowledge and skills gap in your education that is going to have to be patched up if you are going to progress to be a doctor. And there are very important and very, rational medical and educational regulations that insist that you have certain core modules from years 1 and years 2. Someone's just sent me a WhatsApp. Yes, please do book the inquiry on the Medical Doorway website on book a consultation. I dare say that my diary now is going to be filled up for the next 2 weeks as well after today, but that's fine. We can manage that. Okay. What about multiple transfers, i.e. 2 transfers prior, so it'll be a 3rd transfer? That, yeah, you generally are not going to find anyone who's going to be able to transfer you if you've already transferred from 2 other institutions before. That's not something which is going to happen. In fact, even the GMC, I believe, has some regulations somewhere, but don't quote me on that, about the amount of transfers that you can do and how many years you have to spend in the university that you graduate from. What happens if you've actually completed all of years 1 and year 2 modules, done anatomy dissection, and now in year 4? We might be able to consider a transfer if you have the full amount of credits from that, and that program is then going to be recognized. That's going to be a more straightforward approach in terms of looking at the paperwork, but that doesn't guarantee you will get exactly what you want. Okay. We're dealing with speculation here, not with paperwork. I think all of my colleagues will know that as scientists, we work on the basis of looking at documents and assessing things in a rational way. That's good, one, for the students as you being students, but also to ensure the safety of patients and service users who you're going to be dealing with after you've graduated. Sorry, we don't work with any Italian universities. Apologies. Although, as you can tell from my view, I actually have Italian genetics. Yeah, if you want to book a consultation, just look at book a consultation on the Medical Doorway website. You can do it there, okay? It's very easy to do, and then you can book it through Candidly. More questions coming in and more comments, chats coming in, guys. There's 138 people online right now, so, and that's not including the huge amount that I've now got on YouTube, but thank you for the signing in. Would any of the universities offer a temporary exchange for a few months until Ukraine is calm again? You can only arrange exchanges if there is usually a formal agreement under Erasmus Plus. There might be some opportunities for Ukrainian citizens to do that. We've not come across anything for international students. Ukraine is not going to be stable in a few months' time. This situation is going to be going on for a long time, and also the recovery after when eventually or hopefully soon comes to a peaceful resolution. The infrastructure is going to not be in a position to actually go back and complete your studies. I think Ukraine is going to have a lot more issues to deal with as a country than housing international students moving forward. Really, it's going to have to arrange things for its own citizens first. So a transfer is not going to be possible. There are also certain visa issues to deal with that as well that have to be considered. The best thing to do is apply as a new student, to be honest. Someone's asked about the 11 semesters in, so they're really near the end of the program. I knew there are many of you in this position. So I would say, send us what you have. We'll be able to assess it and then come back to you. If I have to liaise with my colleagues at the universities, that's definitely something we will do. What we're not going to do is bombard our colleagues at the universities with every single document that comes in. I will assess them first and then query that with my colleagues. I think in many of the universities that we're talking with today, I've already been bombarded with emails and requests anyway, outside of the work that's come through us. So please send me the transcript, and the person who said that email address, hello@medicaldoorway.com. Yes, that is the right place to send them to. Send them there. Okay, what if I can't get a referee? What if you can't get a referee to write a reference for the applications they've retired from after you graduate from high school? Listen, we don't necessarily need references for all the institutions. Let's deal with that once we know which institution that you're applying to. and referees don't need to come from high school necessarily. What happens if I want to finish year one and then transfer after year one into year two? You can't actually transfer legally under ECTS. You can't transfer unless you have 60 ECTS credits anyway. So if you're only part way through year one, you'd have to restart from year one. In fact, your situation, if you're only part way through year one, is a much better situation, I'd have to say, than people who are further into the program, because it means you can effectively write off the first semester and start from year one in September, and you've only really, missed that first year. And for many students, they're going to be in a position where they're going to have to repeat many more years. Okay. I would say for the person who's in sixth year, you're best just getting in contact with us directly, because your query is going to be so complex that we do need to look at that in a lot more detail at an individual level. The further you go through a program, and I think my colleagues will back me up on this, the further you go through a program, the more difficult it is to actually arrange transfers, because there's so much water under the bridge and so many things, misalignments of curriculum, etc., and language credits, which you will not have studied, that we definitely need to look at that on an individual basis. Unfortunately, in British universities, it says, will UK universities allow us to transfer to year one from Ukraine? No, I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. In Britain, the seats in British medical schools are overfull as they are, especially after last year. So that's not going to happen, unfortunately. I have spoken to one or two British institutions. They're not going to be in a position to be able to offer you that kind of a transfer. That's not going to happen. Again, someone else has asked about sixth year. Isaac, do get in contact with us directly. Someone's asked me about a particular university in Georgia. We don't work with universities in Georgia. My recommendation is do your research before you apply to any university. I can't go on public record here and comment about a university that I know nothing about. We're talking about institutions here that are based either in the Western Hemisphere, European Union, NATO countries that have a graduate employment track record. Find out if the institution actually has any graduates that have come out of the university and have registered successfully. That's the barometer, I would say. And also any programs outside of the European Union are not currently on the GMC European Prescribed Programs list, which came into existence following Britain's departure from the European Union. Yes, we do work with Hungarian medical schools. We work with one. They couldn't be with us today. Okay, do we have to wait until we receive our transcripts before we can apply? If you want to apply directly to the university now, as long as you've got your high school qualifications, no, we can apply now. What we can't ask for is a recognition of credits without your transcripts. That would make sense. Someone said, can I transfer my preclinical credits to SGU Grenada and do my clinical years there? I have a bachelor's degree. Now, St. George's University in Grenada has a 4-year pathway. So depending on how far you're into your program, that might be something which is manageable from the degree that you already have. But then I imagine this student will be considered as a new applicant and wouldn't be disadvantaged for the fact that they've had to leave medical school in these circumstances.
Yes, correct. So hi everyone, my name is Bethana from St. George's University School of Medicine. We don't usually take transfers, but obviously are very sympathetic with what's happening at the moment. Specifically speaking about the inquiry that just came through, given the fact that you already have a bachelor's of science, if you obviously meet the requirements, then you're definitely eligible to apply to our 4-year MD degree. And then we'll obviously look at the transfer, but you won't be at a disadvantage given the current circumstances.
Okay, thank you for that, Bethana. Passport copies, please don't email me passports. You can upload them to the application forms when you do. I just need transcripts if you want me to look at them. I want to say apologies to everyone. We've got that many questions and that many comments. I'm trying to rattle through them at a hell of a pace. I'm not ignoring the panelists. Please don't think I'm being rude. I know I'm British, but I'm not rude, okay? I have a transcript from pharmacy degree and 3rd year and 4th semester. Would I be able to transfer? You're not going to be in a position to transfer, but your pharmacy degree perhaps will allow you to apply to a 4 or 5 year program at another institution, or in the case of Rijeka in Croatia, the degree can be used to exempt in certain cases from the entrance exam. And I've got other applicants actually ready to go into the Rijeka system who have that particular pathway. What I've not done at the moment is I've not spoken to my colleagues from the Czech Republic, which is extremely rude of me, Dana and Hannah. Sorry, I will bring you in at some point. Believe me, I will. But thank you again for being there. Right, 6th year students, I've even mentioned that already. You're in a very difficult situation, and we're going to have to deal with your inquiries on an individual basis. So please, if you're in the latter years of a program, please do book a live Zoom consultation with me. Okay, we do have a huge amount of questions, guys, and a lot of comments in the chat feature as well. What if the university is unable to give us transcripts? Some people were waiting weeks before the war. Unfortunately, this is something which I know has been an issue where transcripts have been withheld from you. And I believe that's not just a genuine that the transcripts are not available already. If you paid a huge amount of money to an organization, they should be the ones sourcing your transcripts for you. I have heard that some of you out there have been spending, £4,000 or £5,000 to these intermediaries, which advised you to go to Ukraine. In my own opinion, enrolling in Ukraine after the civil war of 2014 wasn't a good idea anyway, but you are there now and we are here to help you. So if you haven't got a transcript, there is literally nothing we can do or the universities can do to assess your progress. If you did spend a huge amount of money to an organization, you should be bending their ear day in, day out, to get your documents, because they're the ones who've taken responsibility for your application and your enrollment at that institution. This is just the same when I help students apply to universities in Croatia or the Czech Republic or Poland or St. George's. You come to me if you have an issue that you can't get dealt with, and I deal with it in the way that Ben deals with things. Okay. I can't advise you on Asian universities. I'm sorry, I really can't. And again, someone's mentioned about another university in Ukraine. I can't advise on that either. I'm really sorry about that. Wish I could, but my brain is at a certain level of capacity. Are there any online teaching opportunities? Not really anymore. Online education was something which was temporary during the COVID pandemic, to ensure that until everywhere was COVID secure. Now, with the level of kind of vaccination and the infection and death rates now, all the institutions are back to face-to-face teaching or even blended education, where some of the theory is online, but the practical is done within bubbles or in groups as appropriate. So sorry, and online education was always a bit of an issue anyway. I know a lot of students were advised they could do 3 years online, which was just not even a realistic kind of option to study medicine for that length of time online. Someone's asking about transferring 4th and 5th year. Again, like I've said, we will look at your transcripts, but please, we do need to manage your expectations. That's probably not going to be viable. Right, someone has said, for those of us with first class honours that cover basic medical science and subsequently entered 3rd year of a 6th year degree, how can you help? We can't help you transfer into a 3rd year of a program from a bachelor's degree into a medicine program. That goes back to the slide I showed in the presentation, which was all about what graduate entry is and what graduate entry isn't. But there are 4 or 5 year pathway programs which we can help with. Sorry, Gareth, we can't accept those 4th year placements in the UK. To a program that hasn't approved the hospitals where you are going to be doing your placements in another program. All of the entry options are September, August for some, September for others. There are some February options as well if you needed more time or you felt that was needed. Okay, that's an option as well. My agency has original certificates, but I have copies. Is it okay for my application? The copies are okay for your application, but I wonder why the agency still has your original certificates. That just sounds peculiar to me. We don't keep original certificates for as long as we need them. We literally legalize the copies and send the originals back within days of receiving them. So please get your originals back. And if they're being withheld from you, there are certain remedies that you can place, I believe, to get those documents back. If anyone's in a position where an organization, a third-party organization, is withholding documents, that is extremely serious and needs to be dealt with seriously as well. Riga Stradins doesn't accept transfers from Ukraine. We have inquired with them in the past before this, and we did put a couple of requests through and they came back in negative, I'm afraid. So because the university has to be ranked to a certain level to get a transfer into RSU. That's not going to be manageable in this particular case. Okay, for the person who's doing dentistry and has a bachelor biomedical science degree, please do get in contact with us directly. And again, someone said, I have a nursing degree, year one of a 4-year graduate entry program. It depends if it is a graduate entry program. My suspicion is it isn't a graduate entry program because as far as when I did my research, there were no accredited 4-year programs in Ukraine when I looked at the ECFMG registration. What I think most students have done, unfortunately, and a little bit strangely, is skipped years 1 and 2 of a program and paid a significant amount of money to an intermediary for that. Are scholarships for international students available at St. George's? There are scholarships available at St. George's, actually. They're not specific ones, but there is a specific scholarship system, which usually is, you can apply for that after you've received an offer from the university. I want to know, are any other universities, Poznan or Rijeka or the Czech universities, do they have scholarship systems potentially that are going to be around to help international students? Professor Svoboda, I know we haven't spoken yet because you've been sitting there patiently. I know you've had you will have had a lot of requests. What's the current position at third faculty? Oh, sorry.
Okay, hello. You mean the situation was to take students from Ukraine?
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
Right. Yeah, we are now discussing and as a Rijeka waiting for the regulation as well. And but we are a little bit specific because we have the integrated curriculum, you know,
Yes.
and it's always difficult to take students from first, second year, maybe later, but they have like individual study program later on. But okay, now we are really on the way to discuss and to show you and send you information about that.
Lovely, lovely. Donna, I know you were kind of more wanting to be a view. Are you there, Donna? Hi there. I know you were more wanting just to kind of, you know, listen in today, really, because I know you're not a dean or vice dean, etc. What have the conversations been happening like at second faculty?
We are going to have a meeting tomorrow, so unfortunately I don't have any information for you yet. So far about the scholarship, we do not provide scholarship to international students, so I don't think we will do anything special in this case. Okay,
thank you. I just wanted to clear that, guys. As I said, for those people who are online, and I'm just going to there are a significant number of people online now, hundreds actually online now. We are liaising with our university partners and they're liaising with me, and it is a changing situation. Meetings have to take place. No one can make executive decisions. Democratic decisions have to be taken place and decisions made through consensus rather than, you know, diktat. So please, things might change over the coming weeks. Like even to get to this webinar was a big deal. Because previously, when you guys contacted us in the first few days, there was literally nothing to offer. We got to this particular stage over the course of a week. We're now in a position of being able to at least offer some support, and it might change over the coming weeks, okay? Now, let me go back to where I was in the Q&A. There's a hell of a lot of questions in the comments section as well, okay? Yeah, now I want to read this out because I think a lot of people can value this, and I want my colleagues at the universities to hear what's been happening and what other organizations have been doing to students. I had a BSc of Medical Sciences, joined the 3rd year of a medicine program at Dnipro, and I've currently only finished 1 semester. The issue, however, is I've already paid £9,000 for this year. I do want to be able to go into the next semester or next year if there's any university that can do this. You shouldn't have paid £9,000 for that year. You certainly shouldn't pay the fees that you paid to an agency to get you into that position. And if you did, that organization needs to be bending over backwards to find a solution for you and not trying to charge you any more money if they are, okay? Unfortunately, you've skipped 2 years of a degree. You've missed core credits, which are required to be on your transcript. As a result, you're not going to be able to get into the year 3 of a program at any of these institutions because you haven't covered certain subjects which are mandatory in order to qualify as a doctor outside of in these European programs. I know what you're asking, I know why you're asking it, I know what you want, but going back to my presentation, We can definitely help you, but we have to be truthful, honest, moral, ethical, all of those things which we abide by here, as well as real, and we need you to be realistic. We can definitely find an option for you. Based on what you've written down there, that won't be the option we can help with, but we can at least help you get into medical school and graduate as a doctor, whether it be 4, 5, or 6 years from now. Someone said, can I transfer with my first year result from a medical school? No, you won't be able to transfer with less than 60 ECTS credits. That's just not, that's impossible. Again, this one has got various degrees. A person, Ninda, has got a degree from the US and from the UK. Please get in contact with us. Your specifically, your inquiry is very specific that we need to look at that individual. Now, another one, someone says, how much do you charge for a transfer? We don't charge. We're not an agency that tries to extort money from you. We actually are paid by the university, so our service is free. Okay, we will treat you the same way we treat any other student. If anyone here has spent thousands of pounds to an agency, you never needed to do that, okay, ever. It wasn't needed, okay? My green screen just moved there. Right. No, you're not going to be able to go from 5th year in a dental program in Ukraine to a 5th year program in Europe. I'm sorry, that's not going to be possible. I just want to kind of, these questions to my panelists, these are the questions I'm being asked every day. And this is what's been happening to many students who've been advised by organizations charging thousands of pounds to go to some of these programs in Ukraine. And this is what students are being left in now. Unfortunately, we're doing everything we can to help. But as you can imagine, a lot of students who've been, in my mind, pretty badly misled and are out of pocket now. And that's why we're trying to do what we can. And thank you so much for turning up today. At least you can see the reality of the situation, which many students who, no fault of their own, are now in. Is there a March entry for anything? No, it's September or January. Okay, so there's no enrollment in March. Even if there was an enrollment in March, March is now, it's the 7th of March. You're not going to get a visa as well. It takes months to get visas for many institutions. I'm a grad entry 3rd year dental student. Is it possible to start year 3 once again? Sorry, there is no such thing in the European Union as graduate entry dentistry. Dentistry is 5 years, regardless of where you go. Our university asked for originals or official copies. A lot of us gave the originals, but we've been told whenever we choose to leave, they will be returned to us. So hopefully you've got your originals back. If you have, we can help. Someone's asked me, how would we go about seeking group legal action against a certain agency? Thanks. I'm not a lawyer, okay? If I was a lawyer, I wouldn't be on this webinar now. If you want, I can put you in contact with a potential legal team, but I don't know if they'll be able to help. I imagine between the group of you that there are, and there are over 100 of you, someone must have some connections to some lawyers who could look at what you went through and see if there is legal recourse. But I'm not a position of advising people legally. If I was, then as I said, I wouldn't be sat on this webinar now. I'll be probably having a long lunch at this stage of the day. But anyway, please, if you believe you've been misled and you believe you've got recourse to legal action, that is something you as a group of students can do. And remember, strength in unity, okay, as the Ukrainians are demonstrating, strength in unity does actually get you places. So please, I would say do your research, okay? Someone said, just to confirm, all the placement hours I've completed now are void. Unfortunately, that may be the case because a university has links to university hospitals, and the staff at those hospitals are trained in the education system at that particular institution. So if we look at second faculty where Dana works, they're actually based in the hospital Motol. Their teachers both are clinical educators as well as academic educators. There's a hospital on the base of third faculty as well. St. George's University works with hundreds of hospitals across the United States, Canada, and the UK. All of the staff there have gone through St. George's training to support St. George's students. You can't just hop into a hospital and think that that hospital is aligned to the curriculum which you will be studying. And that happens in the UK. For those who've gone through the GMC process, which I know from my time when I was in the Faculty of Health at Kiel, the GMC process includes inspecting hospital clinical bases to approve them as part of the curriculum. And I know that from what the work we've done in the past with Queen Mary University of London in Malta. Someone says, thank you for sharing the truth. Many of us here were sold the same lies by the same agency and have now invested a lot of time and money on a degree that may or may not be accepted by EU standards. Yeah, unfortunately, I know sometimes listening to the truth can be difficult, okay? So it's just going to be a simple question of, if you believe you've been misled, and I'm not saying you have or haven't, I don't know what you were told, I don't know what's been said or what's possible, that's something for you to take forward. Can students studying in Russia right now take part in this? Yes, if you're in Russia now and you do not want to be in Russia, and there are many reasons why I don't believe you wouldn't want to be in Russia, because obviously you're going to find it hard with the sanctions, etc., and you believe you want to look at applying elsewhere, yes, do get in contact with us. But again, we need to look at you from an individual basis, okay? Someone said, I'm a second year student, what are the options? I would say drop an email over to Medical Doorway or drop an inquiry over. I'm sorry, guys, we do have literally over 100 questions to go through, I think. So apologies, but thank you for your patience, okay? We have been going for over an hour now already, and most of that's been on questions. First year student would like to transfer to second year. You can't transfer from first year to second year. The best thing, if you're in first year, like I said to someone else before, your situation is probably better because you can really start again without losing too much. But I think you are going to need to start again from the beginning. I'm a 6th year student about to graduate, only have proof of my 5th year. What can I do? Mohammed, get in contact with Medical Doorway. We'll look at your transcript and see what's possible. But like I would say, what we need to do is be realistic, okay? And that's very, very important. Do universities consider clinical experience? Unfortunately, if you're an allied health professional consultant, I used to be a physiotherapist myself. Unfortunately, that's not going to be considered as part of the transcript or part of the studies, because you do need to study certain subjects to abide by the regulators' rules in the country in which you're going to study in. For those who join later, we'll be able to get a PDF of the PowerPoint. You'll be able to watch the recording of this entire thing on YouTube, actually, immediately after this has taken place. No medical schools allow transfers. That's not what we're actually saying. What we're looking at is different institutions are looking at different opportunities to potentially offer you credit recognition, but no one can just say on the basis of what we're talking about today whether a transfer will be possible for you. There's a lot of repetition of questions here, guys, so I'm not going to answer all of them, okay? Again, if you've got any specific queries about your individual situation, we'll be in a position of being able to help you. If you drop us an inquiry to hello@medicaldoorway.com. Why is Polish universities no longer offering a 4-year degree? Zach's asked that. Veronica, I know obviously there was a change in regulation last year that came from, I think, the rectors, the group of rectors across the whole of Poland, that 4-year programs can't be marketed. Is that the case?
Yes, basically it is. Unfortunately, I think it was 2 years ago that the ministry decided that, well, 4-year programs are not in line with Polish regulations. So they just forbid us from, organizing those programs. So basically what we can offer now is integrated course, 6-year MD course. For people who already are graduates, there is an option to a bit shorten the period of studies. If you're interested, I guess Ben would have more information, and just, contact Medical Doorway. They will put you in contact with us and we'll take a look at your individual situation, and perhaps we can offer something for you. But just to be clear, you will not be able to finish medical degree in 4 years in Poland. It's going to be more than that. Yeah.
Okay. There are graduate, if there's a person who asked about graduate entry, there are some programs that have graduate entry, which is a 4-year pathway, or in Poland, it usually is 5 years now, depending on what degree you've come in with. 3rd-year dental student, first year, who started from first year, I can't tell you if you can transfer to year 3. What I will tell you is if you are looking, say, for example, a dental student looking to study dentistry and you want to apply to, say, one of the 3 programs in the Czech Republic or at Poznan or the other dental programs, you will still have to go through the application process as a new student. You'll have to take the entrance exams. And as I've said before, we're not charging exam fees. I'm happy to take the hit on that to support you guys, even though I wasn't responsible for you being in Ukraine. What we're actually going to be able to do is, if you've passed the exam, at that point afterwards, your transcript can be assessed. However, please, we do need to be realistic. Like I said, you're not guaranteed anything. And that's another word which I know has been bandied around with organizations that have been charging you money, where they use the word guarantee a lot. Guarantee is a legal term. Bear that in mind, okay? We can't guarantee anything. You know, a medical school that can guarantee you admission, it's a medical school, ultimately. You have to be selected, okay? So a lot of students are now in a huge predicament of starting a falsely advertised graduate entry program. Is there any way universities can organize exams for us to complete at the beginning of the year to pass middling credits? Anatomy, I'm sure students would be grateful for the opportunity. Unfortunately, no. Credits are not just aligned to exams. Credits are also aligned to study hours, which is actually what a credit is. A credit determines a certain amount of study, not just an exam. So that's definitely something which is not going to happen, I'm afraid. I know you're in a difficult situation. You know, as I said, if you've paid money to an agency, you should be banging down the door of that agency asking for answers and solutions. And if they're not giving them, I wonder what the money was taken from you for. I'm in third year, second semester of medicine, completed first and second year, will I be able to transfer third year of Europe? We've answered many of these questions. I know some people have joined us later. Okay. Someone said, and these are the comments I like, guys. For those of you that see the question and answers, I'm not going to read it out in words there because actually it's, I don't want to be, I don't want YouTube to block me, but it said, not a question, but I want to thank you for cutting through the, yeah, I'll clean that up. And being honest with us. Listen, you will get honesty from talking to Medical Doorway, and you'll get honesty from the universities that have joined us today and all of the universities we work with. There is a reason we work with these universities, team, because they are all exceptional programs that really do care about you and your education. They don't make it easy for you. Medicine shouldn't be easy. If you're in medical school and it's a cruise, you're either Einstein or you're in the wrong medical school, okay? So medical school is hard, okay? All right, I didn't study medicine. That's why I've got no wrinkles. It's not Botox, honestly, okay? Right, when can we expect to get an answer about our emails about transfers? Listen, you'll get an email, you'll get a reply when I can physically give you a reply and after I've got the data, okay? So if you haven't emailed me asking about a transfer, I can't reply to your email asking about a transfer. And what I wanted to do first for everyone is get this webinar done first. So all of you guys who've signed up for this, and the numbers are going up all the time at the moment, who've signed in both on YouTube and on Facebook and on Zoom directly. So we'll get back to you as and when we can. Please, again, be realistic. We're all human beings. We all actually need to sleep. We all need to eat. We've all got family. We've all got other jobs that we need to get done, okay? If you're a fifth year student, like I said, drop us an email. If you have got your transcripts, brilliant, okay? What are the graduate entry options? I also paid £9,000. I'm not going to mention the name of the agency, which you've mentioned in this, to start third year. I don't mind starting again in September, as I would have only lost a year. If you've entered third year of a program and you've not got the core modules from 1 and 2 because you've skipped them, that does cause a potential problem because you can't then be exempted from subjects that you have not taken. You know, there's a patient safety issue there. And I'm actually quite shocked about how many, the situation where students have been put into year 3 of a program without studying what I consider, and I know my learned colleagues will agree with me on this, core medical science subjects, which are mandatory for patient safety and for effective practice. I think, can people back me up on that? Yes? Yeah, Veronica, what's your impression? This is the kind of thing we've been hearing, where students have missed years 1 and 2 of a program. Like, I think even your graduate entry students on the 4-year program still had a very intense anatomy module when they were taking it. In fact, their first exam was 4 weeks after they started the course.
Yeah, when we used to have the advanced medical program, 4-year program, it was extremely difficult. The first 2 years, well, you know, fully packed. So yeah, well,
yeah,
this is going to be difficult. Yeah,
very concerning, especially from a patient safety perspective.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, I was get in contact with me directly. I'm expecting a lot of emails after today by the looks of it. Okay, so I'm going to work till tonight. Someone said about Slovakian, are Slovakian universities in line with EU standards? Well, Slovakia is an EU country, so the answer is yes. Transfers to fifth year are not going to be possible. Okay, I do have to just give everyone that reality now. Okay, so if we started in third year and paid so much, we basically can't do anything but start over from a much lower year. That's the reality of the situation, and that's what should have been explained to you if this had happened. You know, the fact that you've not got core subjects and things like anatomy is a massive problem if you're considering transfers, because they are years 1 or year 2 modules in other universities. If you've got a complaint with the organization that placed you in that situation, you need to liaise directly with them. Yeah. Someone said, now this is very concerning. I don't know, this is an anonymous attendee and I can see why they've said that. In the case of falsified transcripts, what steps can be taken? Right. If you've got falsified transcripts, I'm very concerned. Very, very concerned. And that's I think one of the issues may be that institutions have been very hesitant to actually work with or accept transfers from Ukraine. Okay. That's very concerning. I'm actually quite shocked about that. I know, I agree with the comment that said there that no one expected this war, okay? And I'm not saying I'm not saying anyone's been scammed. I've never used that terminology, but you've acknowledged that someone overcharged you. You know, if that agency has charged you money, they need to be solving this problem for you. That's my belief anyway, but call me old-fashioned. What country do we need to sit the exams in, please? Some entrance exams are still online. We have a few. So we run also exams here in the UK as well. So that's something we can actually arrange. Do the lecturers in all these universities speak fluent English? As is the whole course taught in English. At Dnipro, we struggled with communication with language lecturers because of language barriers. Yeah, all the programs are actually working with, all the programs are actually taught fully in English. Okay, so that's actually something you can actually do. Okay, the staff here are actually fully fluent in English, as you can see in here. Someone's referring to an agency. Helped us getting around the country. Don't believe it was, oh no, no one's actually said the word scam today. So no, I'm not accusing anyone of being a scam or anything like that. But the issues now are so unpredictable. If the agency is not helping you anymore, as you're stating there, you need to find out why. Someone's asked me about transfers into Georgia. I don't know anything about Georgia. What I know is Georgia's not in the EU or NATO. We work with European programs, and Georgia geographically, I'm looking at my wall map, is closer to Iran than it is the UK geographically. I can't comment on the country. I've never been there. Met many Georgians, lovely people, as most Slavs are, and also at a particular university at a name that I don't know anything about. So I'm not in a position to comment on a university or a country that you are actually now considering to do. But my advice is definitely do your research. Okay. Medicaldoorway.com. You can find the email address there. Someone, again, if you're asking me a question, I'm going to have to skip through some of these questions now. Okay. So what I would suggest is if you are having a specific query on anything that's specific to you, just drop me that email and we will come back to you. So a lot of students went to Ukraine because of its cost effectiveness. Realistically, what price range can we expect from the different medical schools? It varies. At the bottom end within the European Union, you're looking at about €8,000. Top end, you can expect for St. George's in Grenada to cost a significant amount more than that, but there are scholarships available. You know, to some degree, you do get what you pay for, okay? The more Western Europe that you go, it's going to be more expensive because the economies are larger and therefore people's salaries are higher, etc., you know. Do we have to do the ORE? The GDC are updating information about the licensing systems from coming out of the EU. That data was not updated last time I was there. There's still a period of time for an exemption. I'm a year one student. If you're a year one student, like I said, best you're going to be in a position of going back to the start of year one again. It's not that difficult. Which universities have a 4-year program? They're listed on the Medical Doorway website. Bulgaria is a potential option if your high school qualifications qualify for Bulgaria. There are specific requests for or specific levels for that. Armenia, which Armenia is not in the European Union and we don't work with any programs in Armenia. You can't transfer back to the UK, sorry. There are no loans available, I'm afraid. Tuition fees don't always have to be paid up front. Some of the institutions you work with do let you pay in installments. Sometimes that's 2 installments, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 8 in the case of one university that are not with us today. So that is potentially possible. The recording is going to be on YouTube. It automatically publishes on YouTube straight after this webinar today. In addition to language credits and modules, is there any assistance that can be taken? Obviously, these universities prepare for patient interactions. You will have language classes as part of the program. They can't offer you additional on top, but there are definitely options. There are definitely language credit as part of the program. We're about to go over 100 questions, guys, so I'm trying to race through them as quickly as possible, okay? Email address is on the website, hello@medicaldoorway.com. Someone said, is it possible to transfer? Again, we're looking at your transcripts, same question there. If you transfer to Bulgaria, Bulgaria don't accept transfers from Ukraine. I cleared that again with the rector at Pleven Medical University. There is an entrance exam, biology and chemistry. None of our students have really ever struggled with it in the past. No, you're not going to be able to transfer directly into the EU without an assessment of your transcript. We'd have to wait and see what's on your transcript, okay? We'll get back to you as soon as possible if you put the details on the website. Please bear in mind the number of enquiries we're receiving is significant. For those that are in year one or starting year two, yes, my advice is you're probably going to have to start over. Entry requirements, again, Shirley, just get in contact with us and we'll rather than tell you the entry requirements, we'll assess your profile and then we'll submit the application should you qualify. And for those who want to know which universities we work with, just take a look at the Medical Doorway website. Right, I've gone through the over 100 questions that are in the Q&A feature. God, we've got a bit of sunshine in the UK today. This is rare. Right. Okay, one of the main, right, there's a lot of queries on the fees. Fees, Shirley, can vary depending on the year that you're in, okay, and it also depends on scholarship, so it's not a question of just telling you what the annual fee is. I think Bethana will back me up on that because the fees vary depending on scholarships, the year of admission, and on where you choose to study, actually, because if you study in the UK or Grenada, then it's it will differ.
That is correct.
Yeah,
As Ben said, you know, if you need any assistance, please reach out to Medical Doorway. They're our partner, and then they'll put you in touch with us as well if you qualify, and we look forward to supporting you where possible. Yeah,
we will. All the universities that have come on today, from Croatia to the Czech Republic to Poland to St. George's, they are here because they do want to support you. We're all human beings involved in medical education. We do want to support you. We can only support you in the way that we can, however. Okay, all right. Someone said, can I get an answer, please? Listen, whoever's asking for an answer, yes, we'll give you an answer when we get to your question, okay? We have got hundreds upon hundreds of statements and questions here, okay? All right. You're unlikely to get admission to the same year and the same semester. And we said that in the presentation, okay? And again, we're just having to be honest, ethical, and realistic to you, okay? Someone's asked, can you tell us a bit more about Medical Doorway, what we actually do? And it's more of a question, what don't we do? It's all explainable on the Medical Doorway website. That's exactly what we're here for. We will help place you in a set of universities which can offer you an opportunity to actually study and actually have a significant graduate employment track record in the UK and further afield. Is studying in the UK an option for a British citizen? Unfortunately, unless you apply through UCAS, no. What are the universities from Europe that would accept me with my Bachelor in Pharmacy? They all will accept you with your Bachelor in Pharmacy. It just depends how far into the program you would want to go. And you're not going to find that there are going to be significant advancements, okay, in that. Syllabus for entrance tests are provided, and prep is provided if a university has an entrance exam. Yes. How much are the scholarships and how many years? Shireen, it's very difficult to say. Last year, our lowest scholarship for St. George's was $50,000. The highest one I received for Athena was 90,000, which was quite a high level one, actually. So they're actually fairly achievable. For those who are asking very specific questions about transferring, please just get in contact with us directly, because we've got so many statements to go through. And again, the only program that's currently on the network here, which has official placements in the UK, is St. George's. You can still do placements in the UK, even if you're at another university. You just have to arrange them in the vacation periods, and many of our students arrange that. The thing with clinical placements are they have to be aligned to your licensing exams in the university or in the country that you're graduating from, and that's really quite important. Okay. Okay, someone's asking about transferring or studying in the UK. Yeah, you know, you're going to have to apply. But then you haven't got a dentistry program now, have you? You don't have a dentistry program at the moment?
Not that we recruit international students onto, no.
No. There's a lot of nursing graduates who have completed basic medical science subjects to years 1 and years 2 medicine. Many of us received appropriate recognition for prior learning. For that reason, I want to query why we cannot transfer, because the regulations differ from one country to the next. And also, you can't always transfer bachelor's credits to a master's level degree program. Many institutions, for example, Bulgaria, have that block in there to do that. If you paid an agency a lot of money and did that in Ukraine, that's something to discuss with them. It's certainly not something which is achievable at the universities we're talking with today. And the universities themselves have confirmed that's unlikely to be the case. What is the lowest cost to study dentistry? At the moment, the lowest cost program we have on our system is a 5-year program, which is €11,800. And Queen Mary Malta doesn't allow transfers, and the program is hugely oversubscribed and applications closed 6 days ago, unfortunately. So, right, and I can't help with Ireland. Guys, I know you've put a lot of queries on the comment section. What I'm going to ask is, if you have questions, can you put them in the Q&A feature, not in the comments section? Because we're not going to be able to go through all this. We've literally got 5 minutes before we have to let everyone go, because we've been going for over an hour and a half now. What I would say is some very specific questions now about costs to study at different universities. My advice is now going to be, if the questions that you've got are very specific to you about cost and things like that, fill in an inquiry on the Medical Doorway website, okay? For those that are asking about transfers to the UK, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. I can guarantee you that. We do work with some UK universities for international students, but you're not going to get a transfer, okay? What I'll say is about all the programs, if you've got a specific, someone's asked a question about Belarus, we can have a question about the universities in Belarus with the political climate. That's very specific to you. Some students have looked at that option. Some students feel that's not, is not without its own risks. That's going to be a question discussing things in an open, non-judgmental format, and we're not judging anyone else today, by the way. You've got that, whether that's third parties or you as individual students, because ultimately you've gone to university in Ukraine to become a doctor. That's a big commitment that you've made. We clearly want to help you get to that aim or get to that outcome. Again, people are asking very specific questions. What we're going to do, guys, is clearly we're not going to be able to answer all the questions that are being asked, and they're now becoming very specific to each individual cases. So for those students who are online who want to ask about their specific situation, I would say get in contact with us directly here. Like I did say, we do need to be realistic. We are here to help you. We're not going to be taking thousands of pounds from your back pocket, and we are going to be placing you into institutions, provided it's financially viable for you, that are going to care for you and are actually going to get you to work hard to actually become a doctor and have a successful career. Okay, I can't comment on universities we don't work with. So I know a lot of people have asked about a specific university in Georgia. I'm not able to comment on that. My advice is do your research and do your research again. You are going to be scientists at the end of this. Scientists do their research. And none of my colleagues are going to comment on any other university as well. They can only ever comment on their university, and I can only comment on the universities that we work with at Medical Doorway, okay? For anyone who's asking about specific entry criteria, that's something we'll go through. And we'll be able to go that on an individual basis. Now, we've answered coming up to 140 questions, 130 questions there now, I should say, okay? And I know there are still lots of things in the comment section. What I'm going to do now, colleagues, is just quickly go down the comments section very quickly. I'm getting WhatsApps coming in now as well, as people have found my WhatsApp link on the website. So busy few days for me. What we'll do is I'm going to kind of now open the floor a little bit. So I'm not going to answer any questions for a bit, guys. Okay. All right. And someone's asking me questions specifically about the GMC. You'll have to speak to the GMC directly. I'm not the medical regulator. I'm not going to answer questions on the General Medical Council's behalf. But what I'm now going to ask students to do, people to do, is I'm going to go around the screen as it is. And if anyone's got anything they want to add to the people who are still online, we've got, a good 150 people online now, plus a significant number on YouTube. Bethana, is there anything you want to add to the questions or the presentation at all about what you would advise students to do next?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Ben, and thank everyone who's taken time today out of their schedule to attend today's session. I know obviously there are a lot of unanswered questions and it's a very stressful time for you all. I think what I'd like to, confirm is that obviously this is not a situation that we would usually take on, but we're very sympathetic with what's going on. So our Faculty of Student Selection Committee are actually meeting and discussing how we can move forward with that. As I've said previously, Ben is our partner, and as soon as we have a finalized structure as to how we are going to move forward with any transfer requests from Ukraine, we will immediately update Ben. It will be in the very near future. As we have said, we are here to support you in the way that we can. So if you need anything, feel free to reach out to Ben and he will put you in touch with us as well. Thank you very much for your time today. I wish you all the best of luck.
Paula, there's a question for you. RIECA fees, just so they're coming from your mouth, not from mine. So you tell students what the fees are. I know, they don't. Okay,
so the tuition fee per academic year here at our faculty is 10,000 euros. Application fee for the entrance exam is 200 euros. And what we offer before the actual entrance exam is intensive preparatory course in the fields of chemistry, biology, and physics, which is 800 euros.
Okay, fantastic. I know people have got questions about fees. If you're on a limited budget, do speak to me and we'll talk about what's available to you. Okay, all right. Where are we going? Professor Spodobova, anything you want to add to the students or anyone else who's still online now?
In the situation, I guess no. As I said, we are working on this possibilities for the applicants or for the students, and what I would say, our fee for 1 year is 14,000, 40,000 euros approximately. And I am really surprised how many questions the students they have, and it was very good to make this meeting. I guess it is not the last meeting. I guess it will be very useful for the students, especially for Ukraine, to help them. Thank you.
One thing I just want to repeat there, and this is especially with Dana as well at second faculty, is for any of you students who do want to apply to the Czech Republic, and why wouldn't you? Prague is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I'm not dismissing Rijeka or Poznan or any other city, but Prague is a special city. It really is. Okay. We are not charging students who have been left in this situation the exam fee for taking the entrance exams in London. You'll have to pay the university application fee, which is about £39. So it's nothing really, but we're not charging those students the exam fee. And bear in mind, when we fly the examiners to the UK, we pay for the flights, we pay for the accommodation. So we will be making a significant financial loss on running those exams for you, but that's because we are here to do our part to help you out, not to profit from this at all. Okay, that's not what our motivation is and profiting out of you taking exams and doing applications, etc. Okay.
Thank you very much from our side and from the Faculty of Medicine, University of Rijeka. Unfortunately, we really have to go now since we have a meeting at 3 p.m. with our students, but we are here to help and to assist in any possible way that we can, as our colleagues already said. And thank you all for your kindness and for your for trying to find the best situation in this really horrible war that is ongoing. So thank you, and we are here to assist our
I do have applications for you that I'm working through right now, so I'll be in touch with Paula very soon. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Veronica, is there anything you want to add before we sign off? Because we have been going now for an hour and a half.
I would just like to say thank you for organizing this panel. I believe it's very useful. For the last 2 weeks, we've been receiving lots of questions about transfers from Ukraine. I guess this is because, well, we are in a special position because most of students who studied at Ukraine, they actually ended up in Poland. No. That's because we already have around 1 million refugees, I believe.
Yes, Poland has gone above and beyond supporting the refugees. It really has.
Yes.
In Britain, we're a bit of an embarrassment, and I have to criticize my own country. We've given 50 refugee visas, 50 in Britain so far. Our government needs to stand up now and be counted. So, but Poland's doing an amazing job.
Well, we do what we can, but the problem is, as I've mentioned earlier, due to our regulations, the policy is now we are giving priorities to the Ukrainian citizens and Polish citizens. So at the time being, we don't allow transfers, but we are open to all the students who would like to apply to our university, and hopefully we'll sort out this for you and make this horrible situation a bit easier for you. So thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you. Now, last but not least, Dana. Richard, I will come to you in a moment, but Dana, is there anything else you want to add there after listening in?
Yeah, I think almost everything was covered. Many refugees are coming to Prague as well, and we are receiving enormous emails about transfer. What I'm always advising is trying at least applying, and then we will see what we'll be able to do for them. As I mentioned as well, we're going to a meeting tomorrow, so I will of course inform you, Ben, and the agencies what we are able to do. As I said, transfer for now is not possible. We are really sorry for it, but we are trying to find a way how to help all of the students, because this is a really horrible situation for them.
Anyone who is thinking about applying to the programs that have entrance exams, where we run them in the UK, or the online ones that we run specifically as well, all those dates are on the Medical Doorway website. Our exam for third faculty is in London on the 30th of April. It's in London for second faculty on the 7th of May. We've already got many applicants for that, even though if they're not on the system yet, Donna, they are in my system. They'll be on the SIS at Charles soon once we collect all their CVs, etc. But we have a lot of applicants already, guys. I would definitely advise, if this is going to be something you do, apply now, because we are exempting people who can evidence that they were in Ukraine with an exemption from our entrance exam fee to bring down the cost for you and offer you that opportunity. Just to get you an idea, the process for transfer requests for most universities, usually you apply as a new student, accept as a new student, and then submit your transcripts after you've been accepted to apply for a transfer. No one's going to give you an informal answer at the start of the process, or even give you a transfer notion even before you've then gone on and applied. Richard, I know you've been supporting a lot of Nigerian students, and you're split between the Nigeria and the UK. Has this been useful for you? You're not online, Richard. No. I think we're going to lose. Richard, we're going to have to leave you, I'm afraid. We've got no words. Okay, we can't hear you, Richard, but sorry about that. But listen, guys, I don't know how long this would take. It was a piece of string. I do want to say a huge thank you, real thank you to all of my university colleagues who are full Medical Doorway partners. They come to the exhibitions in London. We do webinars with them. We're actually physically at the universities helping students enroll in the cities that they're in every year. They've given up their time today to listen to this, predominantly listen to your questions. But just the fact that they are showing their face is demonstrating their commitment to you. They've given that time They are committed to you. If you've raised your hand on something there, I know someone's raised their hand, Geraldine, please just type a question into the Q&A feature. If we do get a chance in the next couple of seconds, I will answer it. But I am going to have to let people go now. They've got other commitments, other meetings. I hope we've covered enough today. We can't cover everything. This situation is huge. It's the biggest situation in terms of warfare that's taken place in Europe since World War II. Our colleagues from Croatia have left us now, but they know what happens when war comes to their country, okay? And that's why they're being very appreciative of everyone who's actually going through this right now. We are here to support you guys. Even though you weren't a Medical Doorway student, we will do our best to support you. We are, as I said, though, human beings, okay? We don't promise you the moon on a stick, and the moon certainly isn't made of cheese, okay? So we will tell you the truth, and we will help you to the level that is actually achievable and is possible, all right? And we're doing things like exempting you from entrance exam fees to make that process a bit easier for you to look at other options. Like I said, if anyone's offering you a miracle and wanting money for the process, that's unlikely to be what is actually the reality of the situation. We can help most of you, or many of you, actually enter medical school, but you've got to listen to us, ask your questions, listen to the responses, and be critical consumers of information when it's given to you. Someone else has raised their hand. If you do have a question now, my suggestion is drop me an email. We will have this recording go straight away live on YouTube after this, okay? We are getting some comments in the chat feature saying thank you. Someone saying thank you for your help. And had we known about Medical Doorway, would have come to you a long time ago. Listen, we don't advertise, we don't need to, okay? The universities we work with, as you've seen today, are our biggest advertisement, and the partners we work with are truly fantastic in every single way. And I want to thank every single one of them from the bottom of my heart. We've even had many universities contact us who couldn't be here today. So only what you're seeing today is the tip of the iceberg. So we are going to be here to support you. We can support non-EU students as well. The email address is on the Medical Doorway website, hello@medicaldoorway.com. I think the rest of the day is going to be spent with me dealing with WhatsApps and emails. So I'm going to let the rest of my colleagues, my esteemed and learned colleagues, go. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you to the hundreds of people that logged into Zoom. It did take me by surprise, actually, and the hundreds of people that have joined us on YouTube, which I definitely saw there, and on Facebook as well. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much. And I'll be in touch with universities as and when, and I look forward to, for someone who wants the WhatsApp number, it's on the Medical Doorway website as well. There's actually a little QR code you can scan on the website, medicaldoorway.com. Thank you so much. I'm going to sign off now and go and get myself a drink, and then I'll be in touch with students as and when. Okay, thank you so much. Let's do what we can for you. Let's help you get into med school. Take care. Bye, everyone.